Are we on?
We are live.
We're on.
Podcast number 1.
Podcast number, well, part...
No,
podcast
this
part
is
two,
podcast number one. Don't make it too
Podcast number 1.
All right.
Wait, I was actually waiting for this because I want to see how it sounds in the playback.
Oh, yeah. Sound of enjoyment.
It's the best sound ever. Welcome to The Other Line.
Yeah, this is the podcast of the soon-to-be global lifestyle brand, The Other Line. And we are very privileged today to have one of the founders, the godfather. He's not old. It's just the godfather of The Other Line, Mr. Cy Porras. Cy, say hello to the people, man.
No one knows what The Other Line is yet, by the way.
Yeah. Well, how's it going, guys? Good morning. Very excited to show you guys what The Other Line is and to kind of talk about it.
What is The Other Line, Cy?
What is it?
What did you create here?
So what The Other Line is, guys, is at its heart, it's a lifestyle and apparel brand that really aims to inspire and encourage working individuals to pursue their passions and projects to kind of reach fulfillment.
Are you telling people to like quit their jobs and move to Boca? Or
No, not at all. Like something that we obviously recognize and that everyone should recognize is work is a necessary part of life.
Yeah.
Everyone has to work, but that doesn't mean it has to take over your life completely. It doesn't mean that you should be so tired mentally and physically from work that you don't have time to do things outside of work. And something else that the airline focuses on, and something that has been part of our development and growth, has been that there are people whose jobs are their passions, and there are people who have no passions outside of work. So it's really seeking to aim to bridge the divide between having to do the things that you need to do and doing the things that you want to do.
Amen.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Amen. Well, I guess on that note, maybe we should explain who we are.
Honestly, who we are is not that important, but we'll do it anyway.
It's not important, but I feel like people are going to want to know so as to not be creeped out that two complete strangers are doing this weekly or however long it ends up going for.
All right. Introduce yourself, young man.
I am John Brown. Should we just stop there? Generic name, and then maybe.
Yeah, that's actually not his real name. That is just the name of an abolitionist that he really enjoyed and wanted to adopt.
If I were to come up with a fake name, it would be way better than John Brown.
I don't know. He's got a pretty cool story, man. Slave revolt. You really should look into your own name.
Well, no, I know historically who John Brown is.
Gotcha.
But I'm just saying, if I were to choose my pseudonym, it would be like
Dick Johnson.
No, I feel like part of my name would be the same. It'd be like Johnny Rocket. Isn't that a restaurant?
It's a very shitty pizza place.
My pseudonym would be Taco Bell.
Yeah, well,
yeah, this makes sense.
But we are actually friends from law school. That is Johnny Rockets. I think is a shitty pizza place in Bloomington, Indiana, where we all met, and we just kind of been following Cy's progress with this ethos that he's trying to put out there. So Cy, for yourself, man, what is work outside of, you're a lawyer, just like the rest of us, but outside of your time in the courtroom, what is it that you do that makes you think, man, I'm taking the other line here?
Yeah. So, the big question too is kind of what do I get fulfillment out of? That's the question it came down to for me is, not necessarily what I just do or what I'd like to do. It's what gives me fulfillment. So the things that initially gave me fulfillment, still give me fulfillment, that kind of led to the other line was really just going out and hanging out with friends, drinking beer, going to a new restaurant, checking out places, throwing darts and whatever on any day of the week. So people say that they love to do those things, but only do them on the weekend. Well, why not do it on the weekday? So that's just like a small little thing of how I got inspired through the other line, I guess. And now really what it's become, my passion and like my project and where I'm finding a lot of fulfillment is just the other line, doing the other line. A lot of the logistical aspects are all on me. A lot of the practical aspects are all on me. And talking to people about it, spreading kind of this ethos about, do what you love, even in the face of work, follow your passions and projects and pursue them so you have some fulfillment. It's just spreading that kind of, for lack of a better word, gospel is like become a real big part of my day-to-day life and where I find a lot of my fulfillment.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but is part of like the moonshot objective that this becomes a platform for others who feel inspired by this idea, they have some sort of passion project they want to engage in, but they don't know where to start or how to market it, and because I think that's kind of the purpose of the podcast part of it, right? Like Tom and I wanted some sort of creative outlet, excuse me, because believe it or not, we don't get it from our legal mundane jobs.
This
and so
message not endorsed by Stoll Keenan PLLC
or endorsed by we'll just leave it anonymous.
Yeah, I'll leave mine anonymous as well.
so as to maintain a paycheck. But is that kind of 5-year outlook, 6-month outlook, however long it takes, is that part of the vision?
So absolutely, and like you hit it right in the head. There's basically 2 large prongs of what the other line, or how the other line aims to do what it aims to do. The first part is the easy part. It's just kind of creating apparel that will serve as a totem for people to rally behind.
And
What's
we
a
are
totem,
all,
man.
So a totem is something that just somebody can look at, and it kind of serves as the embodiment that symbolizes what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So for instance, like, you guys both have the other line hats.
Yes, I was dying to to explain.
So with a hat, you can literally look at it as sort of like a thinking cap and being like, when I get home, I can sit down and I can watch Netflix and I can do nothing. Or I can get up and I can do a podcast. Or I can draw a painting. Or I could do something that pushes me, challenges me, that gives me fulfillment, even though I have work tomorrow, even though I just came from work today. And even just having something as simple as a hat to look at and be like, this is my inspiration. This is reminding me this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I'm going to put this hat on. I'm going to put this shirt on. I'm going to go out and do the damn thing.
And if listeners, should we ever acquire one, are listening to this now and they're like, holy shit, this is resonating with me. Mm-hmm. I want that hat.
So
where can they find that hat?
So they could find the hat through our website on our online store. It's theotherline.co, and there's a link to the store there. You can also find us on Instagram, theotherline_official, and then there should be a link to both the store and our website on there. They're 2 actually distinct websites, but they both kind of are the same thing. And also, like, I have an email address through the Instagram page and through the website, theotherline.official@gmail. Obviously, if I get an email from there, I'd be happy to send an order outside of the store.
I was wondering this myself. Why is it .co?
So
where's the M?
It's about not being a work product, I guess, too. When I looked at it, initially, to be honest, it was because .com's taken. And the guy
bastards.
wouldn't broker with me, but
Those bastards.
I kind of liked it. It goes perfectly in the vein of, I'm not a web designer. I'm not a guy that builds websites or that isn't necessarily an entrepreneur by day, at least. And I'm still out there doing it. I'm trying, And I think .co like perfectly embodies that, in that it's not the traditional like, this is my day job. No, this is my passion. This is my project. This is what I'm trying to do, and it shows that. And I kind of like that.
I like it, even if it was for more of a practical purpose.
Yeah.
I do like the message.
It strikes me as, at first glance, an unapologetically millennial stance on work after hours. But I got to tell you,
with the man.
I don't understand. I mean, every generation shits on the next one, or kind of like pledge classes, if any of you were Greek or whatnot. But
Tom was president of his fraternity.
Big mistake. But like, there's nothing wrong or something to sneer at having an outside work fulfillment. Yeah, I don't understand personally why people just feel like they're in a rush to just get somewhere maybe mid-level in their jobs, pump out a few kids, turn out when they're 50, look up at their life and say, oh shit, why am I married to this other person, or why didn't I do
Careful.
anything?
Careful.
I'm married. You're on the fence, sir. You need to think about
I only
that
say
stuff.
careful because Tom's wife is literally sitting next to him, which was not the anticipated.
But I don't
way
work
of
that
going
hard,
about
and
this.
I live the other line lifestyle,
Yeah.
or at least I tried to. I know.
Well,
I
yeah.
married my queen.
You know,
Yeah, there you go. Redeemed.
A big part of that too is I think people are shying away and realize that it's unrealistic to tie your life completely to your job because a lot of reasons. One, that's just as a culture, I think that's dying. But two, technology and innovations are making that less the case. So in like 100 years, we're going to have a lot more free time as people. I really think that, like, just generally, I think people will
We were
have.
born 100 years too soon.
Yeah, we were. But no, but you compare life now to like 100 years ago when people every day necessarily they had to maybe work harder than they do or longer, not harder, in their lives. And now we live in a time where we do have disposable time, or we're able to have disposable time realistically. And we live in an economy and a culture that allows us to thrive outside of work and allows us to thrive in our own lives in whatever way that means. So I think their line is aligned with where life generally is going to. And that's something that people are realizing slowly because it's a generational thing, but they are realizing.
So take us through a little bit where you're from, man, what your family did,
It's probably a good idea.
you know, how you got to represent Chicago
What
in the
you
way that you
do?
do. Yeah.
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 Oh, this is the first time you've mentioned Chicago.
Yeah. This
We're
is
all
Chicago-based.
sitting in Chicago right now, and most of us live here. That should be mentioned. Greatest city in the world.
Truly.
And the other line, in many respects, is tied to Chicago, and we hope Chicago's, a market that this really resonates with. So you're going to hear a lot of Chicago references.
Yeah.
You're going to hear from a lot of Chicago residents.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
No worries.
Origin story.
Okay, yeah, so I'll get to the origin story, but I do want to touch on John's point about the other line being Chicago-based, Chicago-inspired, Chicago-grown. Obviously, we lived here, and the inspiration came directly from being in Chicago and seeing what a great city it is, seeing how much there is to offer, and the name itself and kind of the inspiration behind the idea came from the CTA lines. So
Chicago Transit Authority.
Chicago Transit Authority has a fantastic transit system to get you to work. That's no problem. It gets you back home very easily. But for us and me and the other two founders, what we actually found was it's difficult to get from one part of the city to another that are very close, should be connected, and that represent going from home to fun. That being, at that time, the north side where we're at now, Lakeview to Wicker Park, which is a place we like to go and drink and go to the bars and stuff. So there was this physical, literal disconnect between the north side, Lakeview, versus Wicker Park, and then it really embodied the metaphorical gap between your life that's necessary and your life that's fun and pleasurable. And that goes back to the logo, and I think the logo is beautiful. I think everyone should buy a hat.
Who designed that logo? Sam?
So
that's a good
the
question.
logo, yeah, we're jumping around here a little bit, but the logo was really, really, really cool. It came together beautifully, I think, because again, we were looking with me and the other two founders. We're looking at this divide and being like, God, this sucks. Why is it so hard to get to where we want to be? Why is it so hard to get to Wicker Park? And that's kind of a question I think a lot of Chicagoans have had. So then we'd go out and do these things called consequence nights. And that would literally just be a night on the weekday that we'd go out and do what we wanted to do no matter what. Consequences be damned. It didn't matter. We're going to go out and we're going to live our lives because work isn't going to take over our lives. So really what that meant was that we'd go and get like blackout drunk and throw darts and impromptu rap, and it was a lot of fun. But anyways.
Sorry, what? We're going to get back up there.
We'll come back to that. But anyways, so one night we were just talking about how much it sucks to get between Wicker Park and the north side. And I think it kind of weighed out heavily on everyone's mind because the next time after that, Phil, one of the other co-founders, was like, guys, I've been thinking about this. I found the name for what would be the bridge between the two places. I'm like, what is it? It's like, it's the other line. You have the red line, you have the blue line, you have the green line, whatever. This is the other line. This is how you get to where you want to be. And we immediately were like, that's a badass name. And it so happened, like, I really think by fate, I was working at a different firm at the time as an attorney, and I was at a deposition, and I was kind of bored at a lot of these depositions. Most part you just sit there, and I just was doodling, and I happened to doodle what was sort of a symbol of a train going underground and just going nowhere or somewhere. And that to me kind of was like a representation when I was drawing it, like kind of came out of nowhere, where it was just like, this is the way out of monotony of work, you know? So when Phil said, I have this other line name, I was like, oh my God, dude, I just doodled this other train thing. So I'm just going to flip the train to be on top of the thing to represent the tracks. And that's the other line. It's a CTA. It's like a non-CTA line, you know? It's a non-work line. It's how you get to where you want to be. So through that, we developed the kind of idea a little bit longer. We had, you know, concept designs. I really took a hold of this thing, and I went kind of running with it. And then one of my buddies, shout out to Organic Marketing. He's actually a person who does that for a living. I asked him for help digitizing our concept, and he brought it to life.
Also, shout out to Free Range Marketing.
Free Range Marketing.
So to summarize, the logo is the product of borderline legal malpractice, and embodies everything legal malpractice stands for. No, it's a cool story. Yeah. It is a cool story.
So let me just so that's out of the way now. I want to talk about one other thing before we move on to anything else, origin story or whatever. But the other thing is that John had mentioned this earlier, how the other line aims to inspire and encourage other people to kind of pursue more fulfillment through passions and projects or whatever way they find it, is that it will be a showcase and it will be a collaborative effort where we try to bring together and at least try to showcase people so that working individuals can see that it can be done, that you can have your work life and you can pursue your fulfillment, or that you can achieve fulfillment. There are some people that have already gotten to that point. They've like accepted their new life, you know. So we do that on our website, theirline.co, under something called Sprelly, and that's a whole nother explanation that I'll talk about a little bit later, but it stands for sport, refection, libation. And it's kind of three general categories we look at someone finding fulfillment through. But yeah, that's one way. And then really down the line, I mean, it'd be fantastic. So this is something that, you know, will come with development and growth, but one thing that we're looking at is literally being able to bridge the disconnect between having, let's say, a hobby or just not having anything at all, and then being able to actually execute on that passion or project or fulfillment.
Sharing it with others. And even just like if we can connect a person to a lawyer, a musician who doesn't know how to like copyright, doesn't even know what a copyright is or anything like that, and connect them to a lawyer to figure that out. If we can kind of create a community in Chicago to help people do that. At first it'll just be inspiration, encouragement, yeah, you can do this, et cetera, et cetera. But eventually, like the real long-term goal would be hopefully to be like get to the point where it's like, okay, no, we have literally a community where we can basically kind of funnel people to get to the point where they need to be. Right, which I must observe, and it almost comes back around to like networking in a way, which is a very work-focused term.
Yeah. We're never going to say that word again.
But in the context of passions, perhaps it means something a little different. So
I think meeting people around passions is so much more organic and natural and meaningful, or have the potential to be meaningful, if you meet them at something that you're already mutually interested in, instead of a forced grinning cocktail hour, the type of which we would sometimes engage in law school.
Yeah, a lot of times.
So, but Sai, where are you from, man?
Oh yeah, so I'm originally from El Paso, Texas. Born and raised there. One of the most dangerous cities in the world.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
We won't talk about that. But anyway, so
that was pre-wall. Now that
it's a wall, so it's super safe now.
All is right with the world.
Yeah. So no, I grew up in El Paso, Texas. My family, my dad's side, is from Mexico. My dad's an immigrant. My mom was born in the United States. Her dad's from Mexico. And El Paso itself is a very, very it's actually a very homogenous culture, but it's Mexican American culture. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of my, I guess by saying that, I hope that it gives you an understanding of who I am and what I am, because I was very much raised biculturally, but also being pushed into Americana culture because I live in America and I was born in America and I am American. And it was very important, I think, for my family that I understand that and I accepted that. So that's where I grew up, and then I went to Arizona State for college. Go Sun Devils.
Oh, man.
It's a pretty great time. I was in a fraternity there. It was pretty dope. And then I went to law school at Indiana University. Shout out to Maurer School of Law.
Also pretty dope.
Also, if I were to
just
say
like
so
ASU
myself,
it was just like we had pool parties, the
Just
tanned
nonstop,
women, and
yeah.
all that stuff.
lots of boob jobs. Everyone's got fake boobs at IU. No, it doesn't happen. But I use more like it's crazy because it is more like the organic, wholesome version of ASU. I really think that.
That's
And it's
one way
like,
of looking at it.
it's legitimately like, it's the Midwest of the ASUs. And it was so much goddamn fun.
It was.
It was beautiful. Go Hoosiers all the way. So that's where I went to law school, blah, blah. And I got a job as a personal injury attorney when I first came to Chicago because me and my girlfriend decided that Chicago's a pretty cool place. So we decided to check it out, land here. She's from New Zealand. Shout out to her.
Shout out to Pegasaurus.
Yeah. And so I did personal injury for a little bit. Now I do commercial litigation, which may be lost on a lot of people, but essentially that translates to very, very boring courtroom stuff. Very, very boring. Extremely boring. So in a large way, it's a very, very good job. I work with amazing attorneys and amazing people, and they've certainly inspired me in their work ethic. But at the same time, I recognize that I get not a whole lot of fulfillment out of it.
That last bit was you realizing, oh shit, it's possible my boss might catch on to
No,
this
they
at
are.
some point.
They're great. They're great.
And I don't think many lawyers are, foreign to that worldview. A lot of them are,
Well, we should point out though, we are very much hoping that we get at least a handful of people on the podcast that totally do get fulfillment out of their jobs.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we've been pretty negative on we're looking for people that they realize they have to work. There's life, there's things they got to do, but they have these passion side projects or whatever. There are plenty of people out there that love what they do, and that is their passion.
Yeah.
And they're in their dream job, and they wake up just fueled every day to go to work. And we're hoping to talk to a lot of people that feel that way.
We're also going to talk to a few people who have been in more traditional corporate roles and have decided to go out on their own and do something a little bit more entrepreneurial. I mean, not that I think I would ever have the stones to do it, but being your own boss will be something that we will promote on this podcast as well. So look out for that.
The other two founders we will of course talk to at some point too, and both, as would be expected, embody the other line philosophy. But one in particular recently kind of fits the mold we're talking about right now. And I don't want to steal his thunder when he's not on, so we'll kind of just stay tuned, be excited. But yeah, suffice it to say, he was in a comfortable role and decided to make a change.
Yeah. And obviously you guys will talk to them and talk to a lot of people. And I think it'll be great to get those perspectives too and have a larger discussion, because what I think too, there are two parts that I kind of struggled with early on and even now with the other line and what it means and what it symbolizes. And one part was that I want to have the other line encourage people to do stuff outside of work, but that I don't want to cheapen their work, nor do I want to cheapen their pursuits, because it's not something that it should be cheapened, and it's not something that should have like less value just because I say one thing should be done more than the other. That's my personal perspective, and I think that's actually what should happen, but I don't want to cheapen those things. So luckily through the founders and through other interviewees, I hope that we can see how we can bridge that disconnect, how we can reconcile those two things. And I forgot what the other thing was, but
Well, no, I mean,
yeah,
no, that's helpful anecdote. But I guess like what's to come, what's to look forward to, at least through this podcast forum, I think is a lot of different perspectives from people that are in many different career roles, as well as many different stages of pursuing what they get fulfillment out of, whether it's their actual job or not. And we have a pretty cool lineup. I mean, professional musicians. We're hoping professional athlete or two. People that are in corporate jobs and in government jobs. So you're gonna hear a lot of interesting takes, and hopefully there's no shortage of inspiration coming from them, and maybe some drama.
Yeah, part of the reason this project really resonates with me is I've gotten the opportunity, both at the law firm I've worked at, to see people who have been really successful over the years get to that point where they're looking at retirement, or even my parents, and of course they've got their trips planned, they've got their families planned, and you take most joy in your children and your grandchildren at that stage. But some of them, not all of them, don't have that thing outside work that still gives them fire and passion, and that they're going to pursue aggressively in their advanced years, or mature years, whatever you would. But we want to be able to give people access to go after something that they can pursue for a very long time, and not have that drop off when that thing in your life that you no longer have to do goes away.
Or if nothing else, to let people know, like, if that is the way they're feeling, it's like you're not alone out there. Like, there's all these people that maybe they feel stuck or whatever, and they don't know how to go about doing the thing they love. It can be easy to feel alone, because if you're not comfortable talking about it to someone else, you don't know other people are out there who feel the same way. And I feel like that's what this was to me in a lot of ways, because I certainly do not get fulfillment out of my job. And you look around, you see, like, in the social media world, you see people seem to be really enjoying themselves. And I was like,
largely
great.
a farce.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's
exactly. But if you don't know any better, you're like, okay, well, I'm the only freaking goober out here not enjoying my day to day. But it helps to know there are others out there, and to inspire to do something like this, and then all of a sudden you've got an outlet that you get true enjoyment out of, and it makes your boring, shit, mundane, crap hole job feel a little bit more bearable. And this is why my company remained anonymous at the beginning.
Yeah.
No, it could be way worse. It could be way worse.
And on that point, too, I think a large part of the inspiration, the encouragement that we're seeking is that you just go out and do it. Just go out and try it. Mm-hmm. Even if you're not a professional, even if you're not even adept at all at doing the thing that you might find fulfillment in, just go out and do it. Go out and try. People too often just accept the excuse that I'm too tired, or I don't have enough time, or what if people don't like it? That doesn't matter. If it brings you fulfillment, personal enjoyment, then that's what's most important. And that's something that I really hope resonates with a lot of people when they look at the other line and see that these are not professional like journalists or podcasters. It's not professional web designer. It's not professional
Certainly not professional.
we have other day jobs that we have to work, and that's just a fact of life. It's something that we all have to accept. But the fact is that we're trying it. Other people are trying it. We're finding these people that tried it, and some have made it, and some have made it successful, and some have made fulfillment, or others have just found that balance, and that's okay too. So that's something I really hope that resonates with people and like reaches everyone's mind.
That's a really cool note. We're going to try to keep these podcasts at about 30 minutes, and we rapidly approach that now. With that in mind, I want to thank you all for listening to the first one. And Si, I'm going to give you the last word here to kind of let people know what they can expect from the brand in the near future.
Talk to us.
Talk to them. Lay it on it thick.
Oh, man, guys. Well, I just hope that people, first and foremost, check out our Instagram, obviously, see what we're up to.
Kylie Jenner will be promoting
Instagram. Kanye will be on the Instagram at some point. It's the other line _official. I hope people reach out to me if they do hear this, theotherline.official@gmail.com, and check out the website, theotherline.co. it's really just about spreading awareness and spreading the word out at this point. So that's what I'm most excited about. We have some pretty badass apparel that people can buy, and I'm really looking forward to like getting fulfillment myself out of this and talking to people that have fulfillment or are trying to find it. And I really hope that we do bridge that disconnect between what we need and what we want.
We're also going to sponsor
Amen.
Firefest 2020, so
Yeah.
be out on the
Firefest
lookout for that.
2020.
We will ship you to an island with promise of no music and no lodging. So
Yeah,
That
yeah.
sounds like a
one
good
one
time.
lucky guest listener.
Yeah.
That sounds
Keep tuned to find the clues as to how to get that lucky seat.
That sounds fun.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Thanks, Tom and John. Appreciate it very much.
You're not supposed to say his name. Okay.
No.
All right.